Good evening and welcome to a regular Lawrence City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, November 16th, 2021. Please note that this meeting is being conducted as a hybrid meeting. You may remotely access the meeting through the digital platforms that have been previously provided on the agenda. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting of the Lawrence City Council is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Members of the public attending this meeting in person or virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearings designated for public comments, in person or by the use of web and phone access that has been previously provided on the agenda. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante.
Here.
Councilor Rodriguez. Absent. Councilor De La Cruz. Councilor De La Cruz. Councilor Payano.
Present.
Councilor Abdu.
Present.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Present.
Councilor Levy. Councilor Estela Reyes.
Present.
President Vasquez.
Present. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Now please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Councilors, we do have a set of minutes that need to be approved. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from October 18th, 2021, and also a special meeting on 11/4/2021?
Second.
Motion has been made and it has been properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Mr.
Council
President, I
President.
believe we need a roll call vote for that.
Yep, present. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Estela Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Anna Levy. Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
Hello, can somebody hear me?
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez. Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is present.
And so Levy is present.
Councilor Levy, is your vote present or is your vote yes? Councilors and members of the audience, please note that this will be the last hybrid meeting that the Lawrence City Council will be holding. We will not have hybrid meetings. I think that is very complicated for residents and the council. Effective the next council meeting, it will be a full in-person meeting. That vote will not be recorded, just as a present, Madam Clerk. Moving on, public participation. Please note that you will have 2.5 minutes to address the City Council. When addressing the council, please address the council as a whole, not any individual members of the council. When you hear the first bell, that means that you've spoken for 2 minutes. When you hear the second bell, that means that your time is up. Please identify yourself with your name and address for the record, please. First person, Michael Dwyer.
Good evening, City Councilors. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to address you tonight. My name is Michael Dwyer. I live at 270 Canal Street in the, I believe, the North Canal neighborhood is known as. When I first moved there was just us, the Washington Mills, and the Museum Square apartment building in that neighborhood. Since then, I've seen a lot of change to that neighborhood, and with the addition of the Duck Mill, the Pacific Mill, as well as Mill 240, without any change to the infrastructure, That's added to the already existing traffic and parking problems in that area. During the last several weeks, with the construction at the garage, the resurfacing of Bethune Street, utility work in Mill and Canal Streets, and the reconstruction of the bridge at 240 Canal Street, I've seen what I can only assume was a lack of forethought that exacerbated the already existing problem. I could tell you stories of a detour onto the wrong way down a one-way street, against traffic already being rerouted from another detour down the street, or an intersection completely blocked by construction vehicles with my only escape route going through the courthouse parking lot down and out the other end. But I only have 2.5 minutes, so I can't tell you all those stories, although I guess I did. My point is that we in that neighborhood are in a unique situation as that we're all renters. We live in the buildings owned by unknown entities who hide behind out-of-state management companies, neither of which have any interest in the city. We aren't property owners, but we do pay our rent that pays their taxes. We shop in the city's stores, we eat in the city's restaurants, and we vote in its elections. This development seems to be going on without any change being made to accommodate the increase to the use. Sorry, I lost my place. So yes, the development seems to keep going without any changes made to increase the use, and the cost there keeps going up unchecked to the point where residents are being priced out of their homes, yet it feels like those affected have no voice. I would just like to ask the city to consider us and maybe communicate with us better going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is Mr. H. Mali.
Humayun Mali, 53 Chester Street. Good evening, honorable members. Our city facing important emergency. Our Lawrence Public School paraprofessional in a verge of going to strike because of injustice in pay and abuse. They hire people off the street and pay them more. We demand from the Lawrence Alliance for Education compensation and fairness toward Lawrence Public School paraprofessional and preventing a citywide strike. Our police department, with the impeccable leadership by Honorable Chief Roy Watts, has done an excellent job to protect our citizens. Contract for Lawrence Police now. Unfortunately, 3 police officers in Boston injured. We demand of you declare September 13 of each year the day of the police appreciation. We demand of the new mayor, Honorable DePena, to support our police department and the contract for the police department and police officers. Million thanks to our DPW workers for their excellent job. Our public school, under impeccable leadership by Honorable Superintendent Cynthia Paris, moving forward. Please take care of the Lawrence Public School paraprofessional, since they working so hard. In the worst pandemic of the century, our citizens are disappointed with performance of Massachusetts Attorney General Maura Haley. Citizens are concerned with practices of the Central High School located off Hampshire Street. As a private school making millions in our city, we demand of them to hire crossing guard, since the congested traffic at the time of dismissal create danger for our citizens and children. Remember, Lawrence always is strong. We are united to support Honorable Mayor DePena, support sub-firefighters, Lawrence Teachers Union, and contract for Lawrence Police. Please remember Lawrence Public School paraprofessional and support them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mali. Next person is Mr. Dick Russell.
Good evening, councils. My name's Dick Russell. I reside at 34 Cross Street. Tonight, my rant contains pats on the back and a kick in the butt. First, the pats on the back to those that created the wonderful inaugural ceremony last Friday evening. My hat is off to you. To the newly elected candidates that showed up at the ceremony, and also to the Committee of the Whole redistricting meetings, my hat is off to you. And the last pat on the back is to the candidates that removed all of their campaign signs. A job well done for all of the above-mentioned groups. Now, the boot in the butt, a big boot in the butt in the city that has allowed the homeless situation to exist at the St. Anne's Church as long as they did, and ultimately caused the death of an older woman. Shame on all that may have their fingerprints on that. I had to edit this on the fly. It is good to hear that the hybrid meetings may be about to become a thing of the past. That's wonderful. I don't like listening to static. If I want to listen to static, I'll go home, turn on the ham radio, put on headphones, and listen to, but that thing's got to go. With that, I thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. I am now submitting this list to the clerk for the record. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Council President,
Mr. Vice President,
I'd like to take document number 27021 out of order, please.
there's a motion on the floor. It has been properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes. Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz. Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Anna Levy. Councilor Estela Reyes. President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Council President LaPlante.
Thank you very much, Council President and members of the City Council. Several months ago, we've actually passed a resolution that supported Lawrence General Hospital, and part of this resolution dealt with some monies that were so needed for the hospital to allow them to continue operations in our city. And as we all know, one of the critical institutions in the city of Lawrence is Lawrence General Hospital. And I thought it would be wise and appropriate if we invited the president of Lawrence General Hospital to come back to the City Council to kind of give us an update as to exactly the impact of the resolution, where is the hospital now, and kind of give us an oversight a little bit about where we are today as opposed to where we were several months ago. So could I ask President Deborah Wilson to please join me?
President Wilson.
President Wilson, thank you so much. Will you please address the council and give them an update on things that are going on at the hospital, especially after the resolution?
Sure. Good evening, Council President Vasquez, Vice President LaPlante, and Lawrence City Councilors. I'm Deb Wilson, and thank you for inviting me back to share with you how your special resolution that you passed in June helped assure that we would meet our bond covenants in September and preserve the critical services in the city of Lawrence and that the city of Lawrence deserves. As I shared back in June, the outsized impact of the pandemic impacted Lawrence General very significantly. And at Lawrence General, we were already significantly impacted by state Medicaid rate cuts and low rates of payment from commercial insurers. We were in jeopardy of not meeting our bond covenants when I appeared before you in June. But I am happy to report that with your advocacy, along with the state and federal delegation, we secured what we needed from the state's Emergency American Rescue Plan funds. So that was a very important achievement, and I want to thank you all for doing what you did to advocate for us. With that advocacy, we still ended the year with a $10 million deficit. As you know, COVID has high impact on expenses and lost revenue, but we did not fail our bond covenants, and we did not cut services. So this is something that everyone at the hospital, our doctors, nurses, and staff, and the patients we serve all deserve. Since that time, we have been very proud to partner with the City of Lawrence, all of you, Mayor Vasquez, Mayor Rivera before him, and Mayor DePena now, to test and vaccinate this community. We are, however, not back at pre-COVID volume levels, so we will have to and will continue to manage our finances very carefully. And we continue to work in collaboration with the state and the federal delegation, and we want to know how much we appreciate your support, all of my staff, all of my doctors, for what you did and how meaningful it was to preserve maternity, pediatrics, special care nursery, and all of the other important services that we provide. And we look forward to continuing our partnership with you. So thank you. It was very meaningful.
Thank you very much, President.
All right.
Thank you, Madam
Appreciate
President.
that. We're looking forward to continuing the partnership.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Vice President, what is your wish with the item? You wish to withdraw?
Yes, sir. Looking to withdraw.
Is there a motion to withdraw?
Second.
Motion has been made and it has been properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Counselor Estela Reyes. Yes. Counselor Anna Levy.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Abdu.
Yes.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes. Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Councilors, going back to the top of the agenda, public hearings. We have document 421, it's a handicap parking at 139 Main Street. It was placed on the agenda by Iris N. Acevedo. Madam Clerk, please read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Lawrence City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 16th at 2021 at 7 p.m. at a public meeting at the Lawrence City Council Chambers, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning amendments to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraph to Section 10.36.340 of the Municipal Code, handicap parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. May Street, east side, from a point 600 feet north of the intersection of Railroad Street to a point 620 feet north of the intersection of Railroad Street. To the extent that there exists any ordinance to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard? Seeing there's none, public hearing is now closed. Councilors, is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Motion has
Second.
been made and it has been properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez. Yes. Counselor De La Cruz. Yes. Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Abdu.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Counselor Estela Reyes. Yes. President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Councilors, before I move on to the next item, I do want to point out that we have Gregory Del Rosario, who's newly elected to represent District C. I wish to welcome him. Thank you for being here tonight. Moving on, we have document 7221. It's a handicap parking at 32 Jackson Street, placed on the agenda by Joesmin Cabrera. Madam Clerk, please read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Lawrence City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 16th, 2021 at 7 p.m. at a public meeting at the Lawrence City Council Chambers, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraph to Section 10.36.340 of the Municipal Code, handicap parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Jackson Street, east side, from a 20 feet south of the intersection of Common Street to a point 40 feet south of the intersection of Common Street. To the extent that there exist any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard? Seeing there's none, councilors?
Motion to approve?
Motion has been made.
Second?
It's been properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Counselor Estela Reyes. Yes. Counselor Levy.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Abdu.
Yes.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counsel Rodriguez.
Yes.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Moving on, we have document 9021, it's 15 minutes parking at 109, 113 South Union Street. It was placed on the agenda by former Council President Mark LaPlante. Madam Clerk, please read the
Notice is hereby given that the Lawrence City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 16, 2021, at 7 p.m. at a public meeting at the Lawrence City Council Chambers, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraph to Section 10.36.260 of the Municipal Code, 15-minute parking, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. South Union Street, west side, from a point 64 feet northerly of the intersection of Bailey Street to a point 84 feet northerly of the intersection of Bailey Street between the hours of 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. Further, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lawrence that the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence are hereby further amended by deleting the following paragraph to Section 10.36.250 of the Municipal Code, 20-minute parking. South Union Street, west side, from a point 56 feet northerly of the intersection of Bailey Street to a point 76 feet northerly of the intersection of Bailey Street. To the extent that there exists any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard? Seeing there's none, public hearing is now closed. Councilors,
Motion to approve?
is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly second. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
Counsel Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counsel De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counsel Payano.
Yes.
Counsel Abdu.
Yes.
Counsel Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counsel Levy.
Yes.
Counsel Estela Reyes. President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Moving on, we have document 9121, stop signs on Foster Street northbound and southbound at the Boxford Street intersection, placed on the agenda by Councilor LaPlante. Madam Clerk.
Notice is hereby given that the Lawrence City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 16, 2021, at 7 p.m. at a public meeting at the Lawrence City Council Chambers, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraph to Section 10.28.100A of the Municipal Code, stop signs and flashing red signals, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. A, stop signs. Foster Street northbound and southbound drivers on Foster Street at Boxford Street. To the extent that there exist any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard? Seeing there's none, public hearing is now closed. Councilors, is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
It's been made.
Second.
It's been properly second. Madam, any discussion? Seeing there's none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
Counsel Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counsel De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counsel Payano.
Yes.
Counsel Abdu.
Yes.
Counsel Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counsel Levy.
Yes.
Counsel Estela Reyes.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Now moving on, we have document 11521, which is a 15-minute parking at 88 Auburn Street at the corner of Russell Street, 3J Market, placed on the agenda by Councilor Selena Reyes on behalf of Ingrid Bruno. Madam Clerk, please read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Lawrence City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 16, 2021, at 7 p.m. at a public meeting at the Lawrence City Council Chambers, 200 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning amendments to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraph to Section 10.36.260 of the Municipal Code, 15-minute parking to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Russell Street, west side, from a point 20 feet southerly of the intersection of Auburn Street to a point 40 feet southerly of the intersection of Auburn Street between the hours of 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. To the extent that there exist any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard? Seeing there's none, public hearing is now closed. Councilors, is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion has been made and properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Estela Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Anna Levy.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Moving on, we have document 12821. It's a handicap parking at 83 Springfield Street. It was placed on the agenda by myself. Madam Clerk, please read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Lawrence City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 16th, 2021 at 7 p.m. at a public meeting at the Lawrence City Council Chambers, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraph to Section 10.36.340 of the Municipal Code, handicap parking to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Springfield Street, south side, from 100 feet east of the intersection of Foster Street to a point 120 feet east of the intersection of Foster Street. To the extent that there exists any ordinance to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard? Seeing there's none, public hearing is now closed. Councilors, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion has been made.
Second.
It's been properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes. President President Vasquez.
Yes, the motion carries. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on, we have document 16821. There's no parking on the north side of Byron Ave, from 78 Byron Ave to Columbus Ave, placed on the agenda by Councilor Payano. Madam Clerk, please read the notice.
Notice hereby given that the Lawrence City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 16th, 2021 at 7 p.m. at a public meeting at the Lawrence City Council Chambers, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by adding the following new paragraph to Section 10.36.010 of the Municipal Code, parking prohibited on certain streets at all times, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Byron Avenue, even side from Cypress Avenue easterly to the end of the street. Be it further ordained by the City Council of the City of Lawrence that the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence are hereby further amended by deleting the following paragraph to Section 10.36.010 of the Municipal Code, parking prohibited on certain streets at all times, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Byron Avenue, even side from Cypress Avenue to Columbus Avenue. To the extent that there exists any ordinances to the contrary, They are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard? Seeing there's none, public hearing is now closed. Councilors, is there a motion?
Motion,
Motion has been made. It's been properly
second?
second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante. Yes. Councilor Rodriguez.
Present.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu. Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes. Councilor Anna Levy. President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. We have document 17221 is no parking here to corner, Chelmsford Street, removed from 100 feet to 20 feet to the corner. It was placed on the agenda by former Councilor Gonzalez. Madam Clerk, please read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Lawrence City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 16th, 2021 at 7 p.m. at a public meeting at the Lawrence City Council Chambers, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning amendments to the revised ordinances of the City of Lawrence to be further amended by deleting the following new paragraph to Section 10.36.010 of the Municipal Code, parking prohibited on certain streets at all times, to be inserted in the proper alphabetical order. Chelmsford Street, both sides from Arlington Street, for a distance of 100 feet north of Arlington Street. To the extent that there exist any ordinances to the contrary, they are hereby repealed in that respect only. Persons wishing to be heard shall be afforded the opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard? Seeing there's none, public hearing is now closed. Councilors, is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Motion has been made and properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, Madam Clerk, please read the roll.
Councilor Estela Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Moving on, we have document 24421, a fiscal year 2022 property tax classification public hearing. It's been placed on the agenda by Chief Assessor Alexi Vega. Madam Clerk, please read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Lawrence City Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November 16th, 2021 at 7 p.m. at a public meeting at the Lawrence City Council Chambers, 200 Common Street, Lawrence, Mass. The purpose of said hearing is to gather testimony, information, and public input concerning the proposed approval of a split tax rate which shifts the tax burden between residential, open space properties, and commercial, industrial, and personal property classes for FY 2022 in order to establish the residential and commercial tax rate for the City of Lawrence, Lawrence, Massachusetts. Interested taxpayers are encouraged to present information. This may be done in person or via remote participation on Zoom. The Zoom link is provided. Written comment and information may be submitted on this matter. Please forward any written comments to the Office of the City Clerk, 200 Common Street, Room 107, Lawrence, Mass. 01840, on or before 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, November 16th, 2021. You may also email written comments to Diane LeBlanc, City Clerk, at dleblanc@cityoflawrence.com. All persons wishing to be heard on this matter will be afforded the opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard? Name and address for the record, please.
My name's Dick Russell, 34 Cross Street. Quick question, actually two questions. First question is, what impact does the failure of the referendum question on the recent election have on the tax rate? And second question, which is kind of out of the year, is there any way that the city can possibly do a charter rule petition and circumvent Prop 2.5 from the voters?
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to be heard? Seeing there's none, public hearing is now closed. We do have a presentation tonight from the Chief Assessor, Alexi Vega, counselors. So we'll just take a minute to be able to watch the presentation. Thank you.
Not sure if there's a clicker around. I'm usually doing this from home. So we'll just wait a second. I'm waiting for the clicker. But before I start, councilors, I'd like to use this opportunity to commend the team in the assessor's office. They're a true hardworking, professional team that shows up to work, enthusiastic, ready to help out the taxpayers. And so Maria, thank you so much. Brita, who's watching this from home. Vieira, which is our new clerk, and the team at the Real Estate Research Consultants. So thank you very much for your time throughout the year, especially during this pandemic. So I'm just going to toggle back and forth. Tonight, I'm here to present the FY22 tax classification presentation. So each year, this is the last step for the city councilors to, determine the tax burden that's going to be impacting the residential taxpayers. And before we do this, the state has to certify the assessor's values to meet their minimum standards. And I'm grateful and appreciative that this year was very smooth. The state certified our numbers in October, and we're here tonight to finalize the last step before we submit the recap to the Department of Revenue for certification. So the maximum you can shift the tax burden every year is 1.75. In order to determine the values, the state mandates the assessors in every community in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to use the calendar year 2020 sales. And based on those sales, we determined that the total value of the city of Lawrence taxable value is $5.8 billion. This is an overall increase of 11.9% over last year's $5.2 billion. So year over year, the city of Lawrence has seen a tremendous amount of equity in their property values, and that's significant to the homeowners who actually stayed, and they can do more with their properties, like refinancing for a lower rate or cashing out to do some home improvements. On folks that sold, they did an amazing job and built a lot of bank, as you would say. So the assessed values increased each class. For the four major classes, the residential increased 13.5%, commercial increased 11.2%, industrial 3.6%, and personal property saw a slight dip, and that was to the retired equipment from the Eversource company, which is our #1 taxpayer. So they retired some equipment, although reported significant amount of new growth, so they added some new equipment for FY22. The average single-family home, which is our largest classification on the residential side, saw an increase of 13.2%, or 319,000, above last year's 281,000. Again, when I say that I met the state's minimum standards, the state requires that all cities in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts assess property at 100% of full and fair cash market value. For FY22, I hovered around 92%. So we met their minimum standards, and we were able to get certified. In this slide, you'll see the 3-year comparison of the property values for each class of property: residential, commercial, industrial, and personal property. Their values are to the right, and the percent increase year over year has been significant, and that's a great thing for the city of Lawrence. And you'll see in the later slides at the tax rate what this valuation increase does to the tax rate. To the bottom of the right, you'll see the tax levy. I'll talk about that in a few, but the levy in 2020 was $74 million, in 21, 79 million, and in FY22 is 81 million, which does not include Proposition 2.5. This slide will show you, defines what a levy is compared to a levy limit and Proposition 2.5 impact. The levy is an amount of money any community in the Commonwealth raises each year. And that's determined when you adopt the budget in May and June prior to the fiscal year starting. The levy limit is the maximum amount you can raise. That includes Proposition 2.5 plus new growth, which is above and beyond the levy amount that we adopted in the city of Lawrence in June. Proposition 2.5, if we were to increase the taxes, it would have been an additional $2.1 million above the $81 million that I showed you in the prior slide. The new growth amount that was certified by the DOR in October was $2.2 million. And here's a breakdown of each class of property. From the residential side, there was $39 million of added new growth, and that's attributable to new construction permits that were issued during calendar year 2020, any residential properties or commercial properties that were exempt but were added to the tax rolls. Personal property accounted for $39 million, and that's attributable to any new personal property businesses or any existing businesses that added new equipment to their business. So the tax-based levy comparison will show you historic data of where we've been over the years and our levy amounts. And you can see the last 3 years, it's went from 4.2 million, and that was during the height of the Columbia gas disaster, and then added more new growth in FY21 and additional FY22 growth. And that's 22 is mostly due to the permitting activity and the hot market that we're in. So historically, we hover around 1.5 million, 1.2 million. So we do with a budget. We sit down with Mark Anello, our CAFO, and estimate what our new growth would be. And we're typically around 1.2, 1.3. But as you can see in the later years, it's been a lot higher than that. So that's been a blessing for the city of Lawrence. If the city council were not to adopt a split rate or a factor, the residential tax rate and commercial rate across the board would be $13.87. I can definitely show you the impact on what that would do to a single-family homeowner compared to a commercial business. So it's a historic low number in the city of Lawrence, and again, that's attributable to the valuation that we put forward and were certified. Here's a historic vote of the shift that the city councilors have adopted since 2004. And you can see toward the right, next to the rates, the shift has always hovered to the highest that you can possibly adopt legally in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. In the last 6 years, it's been about 1.75. And that shifts the burden to the commercial, industrial, and personal property owners, and alleviates some of the tax burden to the residential homeowners. The levy is calculated using a formula in the Department of Revenue's gateway system, and basically what they do is use last year's levy limit and start adding in what the potential, what the impact would be with Proposition 2.5. As you can see, I'm going to go down to the middle. Sorry about that. I'm going to go down to the middle to calculate the FY22 levy. They used last year's levy limit, added the new Proposition 2.5 plus new growth. So the maximum that this council and the city of Lawrence can levy, raise in taxes, is $89,698,000. This council did not choose to adopt Proposition 2.5, and therefore only raise basically all of the new growth, and not even considering what the levy limit was. It was last year's levy, which was a lot lower, plus the new growth, added $81,429,000 to this year's tax base, levy amount. So basically what that means is for FY22, you have a excess levy capacity of $8.2 million that you cannot raise for this year, but it sits in a reserve for the following year. In the event that this city fails to have any new constructions, new growth numbers don't hit their target mark of 1.2, we can always use this amount to raise in taxation, and that's allowable by the DOR. The single largest tax base in the city of Lawrence are single-family homeowners, and that's why we highlight them the most. They're the ones that are impacted pretty much every year. As you can see, historically, their tax bill has gone up. And this year, in the latest slides, you'll see that their tax bills from last year to this year would, on average, go up around $200. The next 6 slides will indicate the residential factor. I could have put another 100 slides in here, but single factor of 1 is a single rate, and as you shift the burden, it goes up to the maximum of 1.75. So historically, the city council has never adopted anything lower than a 1.71, so we always put in the last 6 slides. So a factor of 1.70, all these slides are going to reduce the tax rate. However, the tax burden, as you'll notice in each slide, is going to go up on the residential taxpayer and go down. Go down on the residential side and go up on the commercial and industrial. So $255 for a single-family homeowner per year. Significant to note that this is not a monthly raise, it is a single year. And that'll be divided by the 12 months for every homeowner, average homeowner. In this slide, you see the tax bill just went down to 243, and the commercial also went up a little bit slightly. Slides factor 1.72 increases the tax bill by $233. Another $10 discount for a factor of 1.73. Roughly another $9 for a factor of 1.74, and a factor of 1.75 ultimately lowers the maximum you can lower it is by $204. So that's going to be the increase per year. Here's a simple slide to show you the effect of a single average family homeowner tax bill. Again, the 6 factors. So factor 1.75 increases the tax bill $204, and the commercial tax payer would see a $344 increase. Although it's not a significant change of an increase, but look at the amount of taxes a commercial bill is of $12,776. So again, this is the last presentation we'll be providing for the public meeting in order to set the recap to the Department of Revenue timely, so they can review our numbers and certify our tax rate so we can get going and create the bills and send them out by January 1. We'll be available to answer any questions that any folks might have on this presentation or any questions they may have on their valuation. So we look forward to speaking with you. And this concludes our slide.
Thank you, Chief Assessor Vega. Thank you very much for the presentation. Councilor Stella Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. Assessor Vega, just a point of clarification, single family. The average, the increase about is going to be $200, 204.
Correct. If the councilors adopt a factor of 1.75.
But that's going to be a yearly.
Correct.
This is not going to be like a monthly. The reason that I'm asking the same question every year is because around this time is when we get all the phone calls. You know, the concern about how much is going to be increased and just of what we've been getting. So it's going to be 204 a yearly.
Correct.
Thank you.
Council Vice President LaPlante.
Thank you, Council President, I'd like to make a motion that we set the tax classification at 1.75, the most friendly option out of the entire range of options.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor that has been placed by Council President LaPlante. It has been properly seconded by Councilor Payano. I believe that's what I heard, Councilor Payano, is that correct? Yes. Okay. Is there any further questions or comments? Seeing there's none, once again, Councilors, the option that has been selected, it's a residential factor for 1.75 for the shift. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Counselor Payano.
Yes.
Counselor Abdu.
Yes.
Counselor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Counselor Levy.
No.
Counselor Estela Reyes.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Assessor. Moving on, we have document 26321. It's an appropriation transfer from free cash on the amount of $45,065 to Greater Lawrence Technical School. This was placed on the agenda by the CAFO, Mark Anello. It's going down to the Budget and Finance Committee. Document 26421 is also an appropriation transfer from free cash on the amount of $220,118.80 to special project accounts on the amount of $76,500 and street lighting on the amount of $143,618.80. Placed on the agenda by Franklin Miguel, former DPW Director, is also going down to the Budget and Finance Committee. Document, Council Vice President?
Did you wish to take something out of order?
Yes, document 245-21 out of order.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor to take document 24521, which is Police Station Project Authorization Request to hire a construction manager at risk. It was placed on the agenda by our Planning Director, Pedro Soto. Councilor Reyes?
This item has been sent out with the favored recommendation, and I make that as a formal motion. Second.
To approve?
Yes.
Okay, motion has been made to approve. It has been properly seconded by Councilor Selena Reyes.
Council
Any
President?
Discussion, Councilor Payano?
Thank you, Council President. Can you, the name of the motion is again? You said it, what number was it?
245.
24521. It's under the Ordinance Committee Reports.
My apologies, Council President. I think that the two is crossed off, right?
Council President, I believe that Councilor De La Cruz has her hand up.
Councilor De La Cruz?
Council President, I have a question for Mr. Soto. Can you hear me, Mr. Soto?
I can, Councilor De La Cruz.
Director Soto?
Okay. My question is, I understand that we are supporting the construction for the police department. Do you make any tryout to get the land next to the precinct, next to the lot, the parking space that is where the construction is going to be? Have you had the opportunity to see if we can buy that piece of land, that we can add it to the new police station?
My understanding is that the city has made 2 attempts prior to the beginning of the study or the design, concept design of the police station. There have been 2 attempts to purchase that land, and they were unsuccessful.
But new life, maybe we haven't tried one more time, right?
We did attempt 3rd conversation with the property owner, and we were unable to come to a conversation. They were willing to meet us and discuss this, so that was the 3rd and final attempt.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor De La Cruz, similar to you, I did share the same concern, and during my term as mayor, I did have an opportunity to, via Pedro, engage in a dialogue with the owner of the property. However, the property owner is a person that is not willing to sit down with the city to negotiate, fair terms for the sale of the property. I was serious about having a conversation with the owner. Pedro can attest that there was no real intention on the other side to be able to negotiate fairly for the best interest of the residents of the city of Lawrence. So, you know, I think that maybe, you know, there's a new mayor, possibly the conversation could be different. However, I do believe that the property owner will not be favorable to engaging in an open dialogue about, you know, expanding the construction. One thing that we do have to highlight is that the fact that, you know, there's preliminary designs and, you know, the architects we have been working with for the last almost year. And as a result of that, if this were to move forward, it will be very important for the city to engage at that dialogue extremely quick. Otherwise, this could delay the construction of the project, which, you know, I don't think that will be ideal for our community to delay the process unnecessarily. But yes.
Rodriguez has a question, Mr. President.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Opportunity to speak on this matter. So I have a question to Mr. Soto. Do we have any particular construction management that is we've been talking to, or we already have picked before or prior this authorization went on? Or what's the effort that has been made to hire a construction management at risk?
Thank you for the question, Councilor Rodriguez. So I'd like to provide a little bit of context. So I have the pleasure of serving on the design committee for the police station. So members include contacts or architects from the police station. We have some representatives, including Chief Bass, DPW, engineering, planning department, CHA, which is our project manager, also from the mayor's office, and DCAM. So we've been working for several months towards the completion of a study. So essentially, for folks at home, a study is conducted really to understand, all right, if we're building a public facility, we need to understand the needs of the police station in this situation, as well as the general public, the people that are being served. We need to understand what the needs are. So that study undergoes interviews with the community, as well as the police station, and we work towards a design that goes into the study. That study needs to be certified by the state, and once the study is certified, we go out through an RFP process to select a construction manager at risk that would sit with us in committee, and at that point, we would be designing the building and to construct, you know, we would have to develop construction drawings that ultimately will be used to construct the building. So to answer your question, we have not engaged anyone at this point, and I don't believe we've even had conversations with potential folks yet that, you know, from these firms. Right now, we're just really working to complete the study and have it certified. We're here before you tonight to ensure that we have the approval to move forward and hire, essentially take out to RFP and then hire a construction manager at risk. That firm would sit with us and make sure that as we're designing construction plans, the actual pieces that we're designing can actually be built. The constructionability of them is accurate. We can build it in the real world. So that's why we need, at this juncture, we need to hire them so that what we're building will meet the needs of the real world, essentially. So that's where we are right now.
All right. What is going to be the process for you to hire a construction management company? Are you going to do an RFP, or are you going to do it? What is the process that's going to take place in this matter?
So that's correct. We would take this out to an RFP process. Once the applications come in, it would be reviewed through the committee and the proper procurement channels that we usually go through.
Is the city council gonna have final approval, or this is the final approval for whatever you picked?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, this is where the city council is giving us the authorization to make, you know, go through the proper procurement channels and hire who we feel is the best fit for the project.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and essentially what we're doing is providing the authorization that the city council has to the committee. And that way you guys hire the company. Is the other way around, the way that I was thinking that it should be, is that you guys hire, you guys interview, do the process, the network, and present a company to the city council, and that way we can interview them, because there's gonna be a major determination as of how in the future, if it is any funds to be approved, that we can take some accountability and responsibility into consideration. And the way we're doing it is the other way around. We're not gonna take any type of consideration on the process, because we're giving it away by taking this vote today.
Thank you for your feedback. Vote is actually, we were before, the project was before city council a few months ago when the funding for this project was approved. So as you're aware, you know, the state kicked in, I believe it was $49 million for this project. The city kicked in $10 million, initially $5. When that vote took place, the city council was giving the project authorization to hire a project manager, to hire an architect, and also to hire a construction manager. The thing that we left out in the language was construction manager at risk. So when we sent the study up to the state, it looked at that third piece of authorization and said, well, the city council never actually gave you the approval to hire a construction manager at risk. Can you go back and get the clarification vote so that we can finish certifying the study? So in fact, the authorization is given to the project at the beginning when we were given the authorization for the expenditure of funds. So this is just a clarity vote. We, as always, you know, we would love to have city council in part of the process. You know, some of our meetings can be open on the steering committee, and we welcome folks to come and you know, we can share information on where we are in the process, and you know, any way that we can keep you involved, just to understand where we are and give feedback. We'd welcome that, but I think that we would be. I think I'd answer the question in that way, that this is just a clarity vote from something that was supposed to be approved a little while ago.
Yeah, this is a common practice. The city council sometimes just give up to all their, essentially everything that we have to say on one vote, without knowing that that's exactly what we're doing. And eventually down the road, it's always the fact that when there is a mistake, and then we realize that, oh yeah, we just give up to everything that we potentially have. Having a committee that eventually, the only responsibility that might have is to authorize whatever, but if it is any funds that need to be reauthorized or rebond, or perhaps taking a new bond, that's basically when the city council come again. And it is a common practice, which I believe we should change, because there is so many construction that are going on in the city that at some point we just authorizing the funds and not being taken part of. But if anything goes wrong, we took all the blame, and not having a level of accountability in between the committees and the city council is a challenge. And we would like this to be different. If the council allows, realize that we should have some type of level of accountability built up in between, we might get into trouble with any type of construction, including any potential schools or perhaps the police department. I think that now that we give up all the power as a city councilor through this vote and the previous vote, obviously, if this takes place, at least we should build some type of accountability in terms of having either monthly updates, reports, or something related to that effect. So at any point we can go back and say we want to somehow change the process. Obviously, not to fire or to dismiss anything that have been done, but instead adding another step to the table, which it could be a potential city council on there having a seat on the table. And I think that that will be more transparent to the public, as well as having more update information to the other city councilors. The tendency is that the city council speak in an easier way and more quick to other city councilors, different than a committee that probably provide partial information.
So, thank you for your feedback, Councilor Rodriguez. One thing that I'd say is that the committee is staffed with really experienced professionals. Our representative from DCAM, he's been involved in the construction of many buildings across the Commonwealth. Context, they are experts in the design of specifically police stations, fire departments, public facilities. CHA has also managed and actually partnered with Context on a few projects. So they're experts in that field as well. Same type of buildings that we're constructing in Lawrence. And the state does a good job of keeping our feet to the fire. It's one of the things that, we're enjoying a really great relationship with the state. And they are, wherever we need guidance, they're there to provide it. This is a complicated project. This is a 60,000 square foot building. We really want it to be the crown jewel of, the Commonwealth. It's going to be a state-of-the-art facility. Not only that's going to be serving Lawrence, but also have the opportunity for training facilities that the region could take part in. So we're really trying to make it less of a fortress, kind of police stations in general, and more of a community asset. So that's one thing that I'd point out, that we do have a lot of talent and experience on the committee. It's not just us rubber stamping designs. There's a lot of thought that's going into the design. The second thing is that there are minutes taken at every meeting that we go to. And those are public documents that we could share with City Council. We have updates, like monthly updates. There's an executive committee that the mayor is part of. So we can make that information available and receive feedback in that way. So long as, if Mayor DePina would like to do that, we're more than happy to make that available.
And it's not, Mr. Soto, it's no doubt that the professionals that are on that committee are very, they're professionals. They've been doing this for a while, but at the end of the day, I think that having a city council on the table is up to this body. And I think that it is fair to at least have the option to allow the city council to make a determination whether or not we want to send somebody to that committee to serve there. And I leave it up to the city councilors. City councilors, I mean, members of these bodies, would you like, if possible, to send somebody over to, not to oversee the project, but to be part of the process?
Yes.
So I would like to, if possible, Council President, do you think that that's a possibility?
So your request is to include the city council to be part of the conversation in the construction management for the police station.
No, to be part of the committee that is going to oversee the construction in general, because obviously we're going to hire a construction, we're going to hire a construction management company. We already hired an architect. And we already hire another, I believe, another company, Price Auto,
Yes, we've hired an architect.
an architect, and project management. Project management is the authorization today, and what else?
No, just a point of clarity here. The authorization for today is to hire a construction manager at risk. We've been working for months with our architect and our project manager.
Yeah, the project management. So we already have hired. So essentially, the question would be, should we send a member of the city council to be part of the committee that is going to oversee, together with other members that are already serving there, a city council to be part of the table?
From a legislative perspective, the city council could take the vote tonight and, in his role and capacity, Pedro will have to bring it back to the executive, which will be Mayor De Peña. Mayor De Peña could decide to include a member of the city council or not to participate in this capacity. As mayor, he does not have to make an appointment of a member of the council to serve in the construction management, as this is more of an administrative task versus a legislative role that needs to be played. It will definitely be ideal, and as a body, we could ask the mayor to include a member of the council to participate in the dialogue and for the construction specifically. Yes, I think the ask can be made. Can it be enforced if a vote is taken tonight as part of this motion? I'm not here to provide legal advice, but I do not see how a mayor needs to enforce that particular ask. So Mayor De Peña could willingly decide that it's for the best interest of the city to include a member of the council to participate in this dialogue, or it could continue as an administrative task of the city, in which he leads the effort for the construction.
So it's up to the executive branch.
Yes, given that, any construction of buildings or day-to-day administrative operational task of the city do fall under the purview and responsibility of the mayor. Mayor De Peña will have the sole authority to appoint and decide who gets to be part of certain conversations. Do I think it's reasonable for the council to ask to participate? I do believe it's reasonable. Now the mayor will have the final disposition as to whether or not he wishes to engage the council as part of the conversation. I hope that helps.
Would it be proper to send correspondence to the executive branch to see if they consider sending or sharing any type of information that is important to the project and important to the council with this body?
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Council President, can you repeat what the motion is?
There's a motion on the table by Councilor Rodriguez to send correspondence to the executive asking for the opportunity to engage the city council as part of the conversation for the construction of the police station.
Second.
Councilor Rodriguez, I just want to confirm that that was a motion.
I don't think he heard you.
Council President, I think you're going to have to repeat because I don't think he heard you.
Councilor Rodriguez, I just wanted to confirm that that was a motion. Okay, so that sounds correct.
Yes, I second.
Yeah, no, it's been seconded by Councilor Payano.
Council President, I think he didn't hear you when you said you were asking him if the motion was correct.
Councilor Rodriguez, the motion that we have before us is to send correspondence to the executive to include a member of the city council as part of the conversation for the construction management of the police station. Is that correct?
But to be part of the conversation, or to be part of the table for the construction of the police station.
Correct. Okay, so it has been seconded by Councilor Payano. Are there any discussions particularly to the motion? Because otherwise I do have a lined up of folks that wish to, since there's none for that particular motion, Madam Clerk, please read the roll.
Mr. President, I am, Councilor Rodriguez, if you could send me an email and just put that motion in writing so that I have it accurate for the record, but I certainly have the essence of it. Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Councilors, we still do have other councilors who, so the main motion has not been voted on. Please note that. So we did vote to send correspondence, so the document is still open, and this is the lineup that I have. Councilor LaPlante, Councilor Payano, Councilor Abdu, and Councilor De La Cruz. Councilor LaPlante?
I do not wish to speak at this time.
Councilor Payano?
Thank you, Council President. So I just have a few questions for Mr. Soto. Mr. Soto, could you again tell us who is part of the committee? And I would ask if when you are naming the committee, I know you use abbreviations, if you could sort of spell them out and let us know who those organizations are, or organizations, companies, whatever they might be.
Yes, thank you. Councilor Payano. So the committee has several members on it. Context is our architects, that firm out of Boston. The police station, we have several members that usually participate, but Chief Fask is usually there. DPW director has been involved, as well as the engineering department, our engineer, city engineer. I myself represent the planning department. CHA is the name of the firm for the management for the project. For the mayor's office, there's several people, but because of the transition, we're still trying to figure out who is going to be representing the mayor's office for the project. And DCAM, Department of Capital Asset Management, Scott Schiltz is a representative from the state.
Thank you. Through you, Council President, I have a couple more questions. Could you let us know what is the budget that is placed for this construction manager at risk?
I have the information right in front of me, what the budget is for the construction management piece. I don't have that right in front of me.
Okay. Is there a possibility you could get that information? I know that there's a list of people that might have questions. I think, anytime that we are hiring someone, I think it is important to know if we are giving you authorization to hire an individual, I think it is important to know what the range is for that particular person. So I'm wondering, is it possible for you to get that information, or is that something that you wouldn't be able to obtain until tomorrow?
Get that information tonight, is that what you're referencing?
Yeah, so I'm wondering if it's possible for myself to get that information as to what would be the range, like what is the budget for this construction manager at risk, if I would be able to get that information tonight. And by tonight, I mean before the vote, or if that's something that you currently don't have access to and you wouldn't be able to get it until tomorrow.
Try to get that, and in a few minutes, I can call some of my contacts to see if they can email it to me, and I can email it to the council. I can make an effort to do that.
Okay, I appreciate it. I know it would be difficult if you have to call somebody. I don't know how you'll be able to do that, since I know that several of us have questions for you. So, but I'll move on to some of my other questions and maybe get back to that. So I'm assuming that the funds for this construction manager are coming from what we'd already approved, and you had a conversation where you were explaining that this was a clarity vote, something that was supposed to be approved. Can you just articulate that a little bit more? I didn't quite understand what you meant by this was a clarity vote.
When the funds for this particular project were authorized by the city, the $10 million, within the memorandum of understanding that was approved, there's a few clauses that outline the process that the committee would take to complete this project. The first part of that was to complete the study. And to do that, we would need to hire an architect, we would need to hire a project manager. Those things are pretty well outlined. The third part that was not very clear, or as clear as the state would want it, was to hire a construction manager at risk. I believe the language spelled out in the initial document was construction manager. And the state said, well, that's not sufficient. We need to outline that it's construction manager at risk. So tonight's vote, is really just to provide that last bit of clarity. The budget has already been discussed when this project was approved and was before council several months ago. So it's not like we're not introducing new material. We're just at the stage of the project where we need to bring on the construction manager to aid in the design of the construction documents. So again, just to clarify, the council's already voted on this, and discussions have been had about the budget in particular, and the costs and line items for construction manager, architect, and so on. I'm happy to provide that for you. Like I said, I can work to see if I can do that tonight. I would just share that we are getting to the point in the project where if we don't approve, we'd love to have a vote tonight on this. We spent a lot of time at committee discussing the intricacies of this vote. We actually had our project manager from CHA come and explain, in more detail what the vote entails. We are running at a high risk. If we don't get a vote tonight, we are going to face delays in the project, and the state, again, they are holding our feet to the fire. This vote was made several months ago, and then after review more recently, maybe a month ago at the state, they had concerns that this vote wasn't as clear as they wanted it to. So we're already a little behind. So I'd urge the councilors to, please make a vote tonight to approve this. The budget is what it is as it was presented at the beginning when this was first introduced. Like I said, Councilor Payano, I can provide that to you.
Thank you, Director Soto. So I think just to, for sake of clarity, I think I now understand. What you're saying is that we voted for an item several months ago. We weren't specific enough. We asked to hire a construction manager instead of a construction manager at risk. And what you're doing is trying to ensure that we specify so you can move forward with that project. Just for the sake of the next time there's another item that comes before us, I would urge you that you lay in the side of more information instead of less. So if this information, so for example, like the budget, or if it was clearer in the documentation that you presented, I think there might have been less questions today. So I think I hear what you're saying. I understand that we already voted for this. Regardless of that, if you're able to get us that budget, I definitely would appreciate that. Thank you. No further questions, Council President.
Thank you. Councilor Abdu.
Thank you, Mr. President, for you. Mr. Soto, I, as an individual, am supportive of the delivery method known as CM at risk. I would just caution, it's come up through colleagues a few times using the term clarity. There are 3 different delivery models in Massachusetts, and CM at risk is the newest alternative and not always seen as a preferred method. There are certainly people within the labor industry and the construction industries in Massachusetts that have very significant thoughts on CM at risk. So I would caution that this actually is a substantive change to our vote, just in the sense that it does articulate a delivery method that is new and not widely accepted in the construction industry of Massachusetts. So it's commonly known as Chapter 149A of the Mass General Laws, and one of the, or actually 2 positions I did not hear you mention that were part of the team is the Chief Procurement Officer, and maybe that's just an oversight, but I would definitely encourage the mayor and your team to make sure that the Chief Procurement Officer, who has to sign off on Chapter 149A, make sure the Chief Procurement Officer and the Chief Counsel or City Attorney is involved. This is something that DCAM won't scrutinize, but in the end, it's up to the city to get it right. So please make sure that, I don't know if this transition with the procurement office, but the Chief Procurement Officer and City Attorney should have final eyes on that. And otherwise, we run a risk of a challenge to the procurement, and that could tie it up for a lengthy period of time. The construction market could turn, we never know. So again, my comments are cautious in tone, but I'm supportive of CM at risk. I just, for what it's worth, and for you, the team, the new mayor, that you touch base with the Chief Procurement Officer, make sure that person's involved, as well as the City Attorney. So thank you. Mr. President, thank you for the time.
Thank you, Councilor Abdu. Yes, as a point of clarity, the Procurement Officer, NOV Martinez, does participate in the meetings, as well as our CAFO, Mr. Mark Ianello. We've had representation from the City Attorney's Office as well. And I don't think anyone else was missed. So the City Engineer, DPW Director, Planning Director, Police Chief, Mayor's Office, Procurement Officer, CAFO, City Attorney, Context, DCAM. Pedro, I think that's all. That's the actual list, correct?
We meet every 2 weeks with this committee that I described. The executive team also meets 2 weeks for half hour after we have our design meeting. And there have been times where Mark Anello has been part of the executive team to be updated if things are related to the budget. So sorry for not mentioning that piece, but they have been very close to the project, and we don't move forward without their blessing.
That was a good point, Councilor Upton. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Upton. Now, Councilor De La Cruz.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to make a motion to approve, including city councils to be sitting at the table.
Councilor De La Cruz, we have already taken a vote on that. Do you wish to move forward with the?
Can you repeat? I couldn't hear you.
So we have already taken a vote to send correspondence to the mayor, and a motion has already been made. Once discussion is over, we'll be able to vote. Unless there's any further questions or comments, I'm ready to call the roll. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Estela Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Thank you. Now going back to the top of the agenda, we have document 13921, which is a 10-minute parking to replace the 15-minute parking at the intersection of Salem Street near South Union. It was placed on the agenda by Councilor LaPlante. Madam Chair from the Ordinance Committee.
Document 13921 has been sent out with the favor recommendation, and I make a motion to approve.
Second.
To order public hearing, I'm sorry.
Motion has been made to
Second.
order a public hearing. It has been properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none. All those in favor? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez. Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Moving on, we have document 15121. Madam Chair from the Ordinance Committee.
Document 15121 requests the amendment zoning map 221, lot 82 from R2 residential to OSR, open space recreation. It has been sent out with the favor recommendation to order a public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Second.
Motion has been made. It has been properly second. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Council Vice President LaPlante.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is this one of those instances where we need two hearings because we are changing or amending the zoning? Sometimes there's sometimes when we amend, and I'm not sure if this triggers that.
I don't believe
It
it's
may
two.
not, but I'm not sure.
I
You
don't
think
believe
so?
it's two. No?
Okay.
A public hearing might be needed in the zoning or planning board potentially, but the city council will hold only one public hearing.
Yeah. It's already went through the zoning and planning board.
So there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? It's been properly second. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
I was asking for discussion.
Discussion, Madam Clerk, since I didn't see him, let's go back. Discussion, Councilor Rodriguez. I apologize for that.
Yes, I want some clarification on this. I mean, I know that we're changing it from residential, which I don't know how we get to that point, but to recreational. Is that mean that we're gonna be able to develop the site as part of the a recreational space? We're not gonna have any type of restriction for that type of thing? Any type of future project comes to recreation? I just want to make sure, yes or no, if that's okay in case that we decide to develop the site, not residential, but recreational.
Through you,
So,
Councilor
somebody
President.
can- if my
Councilor Rodriguez, now, it's gonna be no restrictions first, and it's exiting park or open space. So, we can have more information once we get the public hearing back, but it's not gonna be restriction.
So we're taking a vote to approve, right?
To order public hearing.
Oh, never mind then.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, are you able to identify the actual location? So I have a in front of me,
Yes.
but it's a little blurry.
I don't have it in front of me, but I can get it. So what are you looking for?
For, what is the actual map area? Is it,
So the map is 221, lot 82. I don't know if you can identify it in the map that you have. I don't think you're gonna be able to.
yeah, it looks really bad here.
Yes.
Okay, I'll take a look at it on the computer. I'll log in into MeMap. Any further questions or comments? Seeing there's none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Levy. Councilor Estelle Reyes.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Moving on, we have document 18521, Madam Chair, from the Ordinance Committee.
It's a one-way Albion Street. It has been put on agenda by myself. It has been sent out with the favor recommendation to order a public hearing pending the documentation from the city engineer and the police department. To order a public hearing.
Second. Motion has been made. It has been properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, those in favor, please say aye. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Estelle Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Did you say no? Said yes. Councilor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries.
Councilor President.
Councilor Reyes?
I would like to go back to document 15121 to amend the motion, because I believe it's an error, technical error here, which is on the map 221, lot 80, no 82. So the motion is to amendment that is lot 80, no 82.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Will we need a roll for that?
So, is amendment.
So the vote that was taken by the council to order the public hearing was for map 229, lot 82. The correct map is map 229, lot 80.
If that was just a scrivener's error,
Yeah.
then you don't.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor Reyes.
Okay, thank you, Council President.
Moving forward, we have document 24321. It's a handicap parking to be deleted. Madam Chair from the Ordinance Committee.
Document 243-21, handicap parking deleted 41 East Haver Street. It has been sent out with the favorable recommendation to order a public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion has been made and it's been properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez. Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries.
Councilor Rodriguez. Absent.
Moving on, we have document 25821. Madam Chair from the Ordinance Committee.
25821 National Grid and Verizon intersection of Chowell Court and Marston Street. It has been sent out with the favored recommendation to order a public hearing, and I make that as a formal motion.
Motion has been made.
Second?
It's been properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Estela Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez. Absent. Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries. Councilors, are there any table matters that you wish to take off the table at this point? Seeing there's none, moving on to new business. We have document 26121. It's a disclosure by municipal employee Frank Martin. It's going down to the Ordinance Committee. Document 26221, appointment of Tanis Lilly, Lawrence Conservation Commission, was placed on the agenda by myself. It's going down to the Personnel Committee. Document 26521, order to expand grant funds, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Community Compact Grant Program. Review human resources practices on the amount of $12,000, placed on the agenda by our CAFO, Mark Iannello. Is going down to the Budget and Finance Committee. Document 26621, order to expand grant funds, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Community Compact Grant Program, update of wage and classification plan for non-union employees on the amount of $25,000 is going down to the Budget and Finance Committee. Document 26721, order to spend grant funds, EOEEA renovation to Reservoir Park on the amount of $400,000 by Susan Fink, Manager of Financial Administrative Services, going to the Budget and Finance Committee. Document 26821, handicap parking, 77 Shashin Road by Mildred Mendez, is going down to the Ordinance Committee. Councilors, please note, at this time I would like to take a moment of personal privilege to be able to say thank you to Councilor LaPlante for stepping up for the last 11 months to serve as the City Council President. I greatly appreciate the tremendous amount of work that you did during my absence in this body. It really means a lot to me. Going back, moment of personal privilege is now closed. So for committee assignments, back in January of 2020, I assigned the committees for each of you. So I just want to revise that. We will go back to the original assignments. Budget and Finance Committee, we had Councilor Mark LaPlante, who was serving as the chair. Councilor Dave Abdu was serving as the vice chair. Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez and Councilor Pavel Payano. Ordinance Committee, Councilor Estela Reyes serving as the chair. Councilor Maria de la Cruz, vice chair. Ana Levy, Selena Reyes. Housing Committee, Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez, chair. Councilor Pavel Payano, vice chair. Councilors Ana Levy and Councilor Mark LaPlante. Personnel Committee, Councilor Dave Abdu as the chair. Councilor Maria de la Cruz, Vice Chair, Councilor Selena Reyes, and myself. Public Safety Committee, Councilor Pavel Payano as the Chair, Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez, Vice Chair, Councilor Selena Reyes, and Councilor Ana Levy. Committee of the Whole, all councilors, and Charter Review Committee, that committee itself has already been closed. Madam Chair, from the Ordinance Committee. When
Next
is your next meeting?
Tuesday at 7.
Okay. Mr. Chair, from the Budget and Finance Committee.
The next meeting will be on Monday, following the Committee on the Whole meeting for the Budget and Finance. And Mr. President, at this point, if I could be recognized to say a thank you to the Vice President, Acting Vice President Estela Reyes, for being tremendously helpful to me during my presidency, or time as acting president, and also to Jorge Gonzalez, who also served and to represent the members of District C at the time, and thank you to him for his service in your absence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councilor Reyes, as well as Councilor Jorge Gonzalez for stepping up. Budget and Finance Committee, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Oh.
Monday, following Committee on the Whole.
Public Safety.
Council President, the Public Safety Committee will be meeting on November 29th.
Okay. Housing.
Council President, there are no items for the Housing Committee, so there will be no meeting.
Okay. Personnel.
Mr. President, Personnel will meet on Monday, the 22nd at 7 p.m.
On the 22nd, no,
Is that the Committee on the Whole?
has been taken.
So let's say the 22nd at 6:30 p.m. I think this is going to be a layup of a 10-minute meeting.
Mm-hmm. Councilor Payano, get ready to start asking questions that night, okay?
So, but how it's gonna be? 6:30? 6:30?
Feel free to join us as a guest.
6:30 Personnel Committee, right? At 7, Committee as the whole. And what else do we have on Monday?
Budget and Finance.
Okay, no part of that. Okay. Thank you.
It's gonna be a long night for some members.
Okay.
Okay, and once again, a reminder, as of today, all of our meetings will become in-person meetings, no more hybrid or remote meetings for City Council. Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made, it's been properly second. Any discussion? Seeing there's none. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice President LaPlante.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez. Absent. Councilor De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Payano.
Yes.
Councilor Abdu.
Yes.
Councilor Selena Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Levy.
Yes.
Councilor Estela Reyes.
Yes.
President Vasquez.
My vote is yes, the motion carries.